Alright, in this video I'm going to focus on some of the more advanced ways to create graphic shapes. So there are some basic shapes that we're going to be using, but for the most part we're going to be using the pin tool, which creates all these nice curves and things like that. But to get started, we're going to start with a basic shape, the circle in the very background. So whenever you're trying to recreate something or create a graphic, it's best to start with the bottom layers and then work your way to the top. So our background layer is this nice yellow circle, and we want to make sure that we're in the ellipse tool and that we're making a shape and not a path. And then I've already determined the fill color, but I'll show you that step. So let's say this was on red and I want to change this. So you click on here to change it, click on the current color, and that will give the option to create a custom color. And then instead of picking one, I'm going to match this color just by clicking on it here in the work area. Then click OK. Now I've matched this color. So now I'm ready to start my shape. I'm going to click in the upper left and drag away to start my circle, and as I drag away it starts to drift on me, and also I can accidentally create an oval, which I don't want. So this is a perfect circle. So I'm going to hold the shift key down, and I still have the mouse click held, and I'm drifting away from my starting point. So to reposition, I'm going to hold the space bar down, which will allow me to reposition my circle, and then I can continue drawing it out until I have matched the outline that I want to create. Now I can release the click before I release the shift key. Alright, there I've created my first shape. And in this I'm going to just hide the shape by clicking on the eyeball. Now I need to remove this rectangular shape. Or I could create a white rectangle if I wanted to. But in this, I'm imagining that this is just going to expose my background, which would be a white. So I'm going to remove part of the circle with a rectangular shape. So to edit an existing shape, you're going to be changing this from a shape to a path. Let me go ahead and grab the rectangle tool, which is the one that we want to use, and I'm going to change it to path. So the default I think is shape. I want to create a path, which allows me to select from this drop menu one of these options. Uniting would add to the shape, subtracting would remove, intersect would keep only where the two shapes intersect, and then exclude is similar from subtract. I haven't figured out really what the difference is. So we want to subtract. And you can't draw a rectangle at an angle, so I'm just going to guess at the width of the triangle or the rectangle. So it's about that wide. And I'm going to reveal the shape just to make sure that the effect is happening. It is removing or subtracting that area from the circle. So now what I need to do is change the angle. I'm going to just adjust the opacity of my shape so I can see through it. And now this path is selected because it's the one I'm creating, and I want to edit that. So I'm going to go to the Edit tab and choose Free Transform, which will allow me to adjust the angle and the size if I wanted to. So I'm just going to adjust the angle to match it up parallel to the other rectangle, and then put it in position by clicking on it and dragging it over. So I guessed pretty well, so I'm really happy with that. So I'm going to click the check mark. If you didn't get as close as I did on your first shot, don't worry about that. We can edit the path by selecting the Direct Select tool, and then I can drag one of these points up if I needed to adjust it. So I'm adjusting both of these. And what's outside of here doesn't really matter. Just lining up the line parallel with this shape that I want to remove. I'm just going to reduce the opacity all the way so I can see the line there. If you need to, you can zoom in using Control and then the space bar. And already I can see I'm off on a couple things, so no worries there. So for the shape, I'm going to go ahead and click on my circle. We go ahead and use the path select. I'm going to click on the circle and then drag this shape. There we go, that's better. So we're not going for exact, it's just trying to get as close as possible. So that's good. I'm going to change the opacity back up to 100 because I'm done with this shape, and then just hide it by clicking on the eyeball. Alright, now I want to create a new shape. So if I were to start drawing another shape, it could join this existing shape. So I'm going to just click on the background to make sure that the next shape I make will be its own new shape. And building on the concept of going from the bottom to the top, let's choose the foot here as our next shape. This has a lot of different curves and drastic changes in direction. So the best thing to do when you have that is to click somewhere that's safe. So I'm just going to click somewhere around here to start this odd looking shape. So let's go back to, actually for this one, there's no way I could use a regular shape tool. So I'm going to have to use the pen tool. Don't worry, by the end of this lesson you'll get very familiar with this. So the first place I'm going to click, I'm going to just click right here, and the direction of my path I'm going to go from left to right just like I would draw. And I'm going to click here to start my first point and drag away to create a handle there. Then I'm going to click right here, and then right here. And don't worry so much about what's happening. Some of these will need to be adjusted after the fact, but right now I have a handle that if I were to click over here, it's going to curve this line, and I want more of a straight line. So I'm going to undo that step. So you can undo just one step by doing Control Z. Before I make this turn, I want to get rid of this little handle. So I need to hold the Alt key down and then click on the center of the point. That will allow me to just place another point. I'm just going to place some straight lines here, because this is going to be hidden by another shape eventually. And let's just go right here, and then this is a straight line. So I'm just going to click right here. The next line I need is going to be curved. So I'm going to click and drag out a handle. Then again, I'm going to click here and drag out a handle. I'm just following along the edge until I get to this point here. And now to go to a different, like I need to change directions drastically. So anytime you need to make a drastic change in directions, you'll have to remove this handle, the leading handle here. So I'm going to hold the Alt key down and click on that point. Now at this point I can't really see the shape, so I'm going to turn the opacity down so I can see through this shape. And this whole curve here I can make pretty much with one spot. So I'm going to click and drag away, and then click here and drag away. Then I need to, again, there's a drastic change in direction. So I'm going to Alt click that point. And then I need a handle, so I'm going to go ahead and drag. Click here and drag. And then finish my shape by clicking on this point. Alright, now I have a basic outline that's pretty close to what I want it to be, but I want to get closer. So I'm going to be editing the position of these points. So I need to go to the path, actually the direct select tool, which allows me to select individual points on a path and reposition them. So like this one, for instance, I'm just going to reposition it right there. If I need to change the angle, I would grab the handle and adjust that. So I'm just going to go around and make some adjustments here. You can see as I'm adjusting, I have a lot of ability to change the curve as well as the position of the line just by clicking on the points and moving them around. So this portion here doesn't really matter because it's going to be hidden underneath some other shapes. Alright, that's pretty close. Pretty happy with that. Alright, so I'm done adjusting. I want to now match the color that I saw in the original. So I'm going to just adjust the opacity down to 0. Make sure that I'm on the current shape that I want to edit the color for. And then change the fill color by clicking on the current color and then just clicking on the color that I want it to be. Click OK. Now I can adjust the opacity back up to 100%. And now I've recreated. So I have two shapes now. I have this shape. I'm going to hide the background. And this shape should be on top. So I'm going to reposition that on top. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and add a new background layer. So I'm going to click on this new layer, and I want to fill this layer with white. Our background is just going to be plain white. So right now it's transparent. Go to the Edit tab, click on Fill, choose from the drop menu White. Click OK. And let's see if I can move my background above it. So now when I hide the background, the original image, I can see through it and have a nice white background. Alright, so let's go ahead and hide the shapes that we've created. I'm going to zoom out. And now let's do the beak here. This is going to be a little bit easier than the leg for sure, because these are all straight lines. So let's go ahead and grab the pen tool, zoom in here, and I'm going to point and click at the tip here, and then I'm going to point and click beyond the edge because this is going to be cut off with some other shapes that I'll make later. So I'm just going to click here and then click down here and then click to finish my shape. Now I just simply need to match the color. So let's go ahead and adjust the opacity down. Oops, I'm on the wrong shape. Let's go there. Sorry about that. I want to match this color. Let's go to the fill color, Click on the current color and then color match. Click OK. Going to adjust the opacity back up, and then also adjust this one that I accidentally changed. So that was easy. Alright, so now we need this other one here. Still on the pen tool, we're creating a shape. This time I'll change, if you want to change the color before you make a shape, you can't be on a shape layer because that will just change that shape color. So I'm going to click on the background, and then now I'm going to change the fill color to match. Click OK, and I'm ready to draw my next shape. I'm going to try to click right here on the tip of the beak. Click over here somewhere, and then match about right here, and then close the shape. Now I'm going to show all the shapes that I have so far and make sure they're in the right position. So these two need to be on top. Alright, and if you want to make sure these two overlap, oops, I just made a shape. So right now these two may not be overlapping, so I want one for sure to overlap the other so there's no gap in between. So let's choose, I'm going to choose the darker orange to be the top. So let me make sure I have the right one here. So that's the one I want to edit. So and then I'm going to grab the direct select tool, make sure that this point is covering up that gap. Alright. I'm going to hide the background just to make sure those two will look good together. Looks good. Alright, I'm selecting the background again so I can start a new shape next. And let's go ahead and start with this white thing here. So this is going to be the pen tool. Make sure you're on shape, and if you want to change the fill color now, since I'm on the background, I can do that. It's just plain white. Now I'm going to click. Let's see, let's find a good starting spot. Let's click here to start. Then this is a straight line over here. Just gonna click somewhere over here. Then there's a curve here, which is a very nice smooth curve. I could try to use one point with handles to make this shape. So again, I want to go in the direction that I'm drawing. Then I'm going to go ahead and drag out a handle here just so I can adjust this if I need to. But then I need to get rid of this handle. So I'm going to Alt click, and then this slightly curves in. I'm going to click and drag out some handles. Then over here I'm going to click and drag out a handle. You always want to click and drag in the direction that you're drawing. Alright, and I need to adjust the opacity so I can see through. So I have a change in direction, so I need to get rid of this handle. So that's an Alt click. Then I have another curve here. So I'm going to click about right here and drag out some handles. And then click again to close the shape. Alright, So that's a rough outline, so I can go back in and grab the direct select tool, make any adjustments that I need to. That looks pretty good. Then adjust the opacity back up. So now I've completed that shape, and this shape is going to be covering up the bottom half of the beak. So it should be cutting that off. So this shape needs to be on top. Go ahead and drag this one up there. And then hide the background so I can see. So it's white on white, it's not going to show up very well. Let's add the yellow. So since I'm recreating this, I could readjust this if I want to match the lines better. Alright, let's go ahead and reveal the background again and then hide our other shapes. Alright, so now I have this curvy thing, which is actually going to be underneath this white thing. So let's go ahead and click on the background again, since we're going to be starting a new shape. And then let's select a blue color. We're going to color match that. And then we're going to start our shape. I'm just going to click to start right here. And then I'm going to click right here. Oh, I'm on the wrong tool. We need to be on the pin tool, sorry. So again, click here. I'm just making a straight line because the white layer is going to cut the blue layer off to form that nice curve there. So this will be tucked underneath. So I'm going to click here, so I have a straight line. Then I need a curve in between, so I'm going to click and drag out some handles. Click and drag. Also going to click and drag away here to create another handle if I need to use it later. Then I'm going to change directions and go this way. So I'm going to Alt click to get rid of that handle. And while I'm here, I'm going to adjust the opacity down so I can see the original shape. And I'm going to click about right here to place another handle and drag away. And then click to close the shape. So pretty much with two different curves, I'm making this. Whoops, I just got rid of a point. So I'm going to go now to the direct select tool and adjust this to match better. It's pretty close. And now I'm going to place this where I want it to be, which is going to be tucked underneath the white shape. And then I'm going to reveal the white shape to make sure these interact nicely together. So that looks good. Alright, next we're going to create the orange shape here. So I'm going to hide those two shapes, click on the background layer again, make sure I'm on the pin tool, and then we're going to match the color. Alright, I'm going to click here to start. This is going to be hidden under the beak. Click there, Then I have a curve. Click kind of at the apex of the curve. Follow it around as I'm drawing. Hold the space bar to get the hand tool. And I think I'm going to create this with two different shapes. So I'm going to create the kind of the forehead and then have the wing be separate, even though they're very similar colors. So I'm going to go past the wing here with my next point. And then adjust the opacity so I can see through. And the wing is actually going to cut off this part eventually. So I don't really need to worry about the shape that's not going to be seen underneath. So I'm just going to click there and then click here. And then I'm going to remove this handle. So the Alt click. And then I'm going to click somewhere around here. So we already have this orange shape, or we're going to create the orange shape. So I've lost track of how many shapes we have. So let's go ahead and pretend like we need to trace this exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. And then click here and drag away. So I might not need that handle, but we'll adjust it later. And then click this, and then finish my shape, clicking there. So I need to adjust this, obviously. I'll use the direct select tool for that. Make some adjustments here. Looks pretty close. All right, so now positioning this, let's go ahead and hide the background so I can start making my shape here. So now this needs to be obviously above the yellow. Let's go ahead and put it on top and see what happens. Reveal the white. This needs to be adjusted back. Alright, so now I have that orange. So yeah, the orange will be in between this blue layer, the dark blue layer, and the light blue layer. Alright, so this part of the orange is going to be hidden, but this part of the orange will be on top of the light blue. So I really need to follow this curve exactly, but the rest of this can be not exact. So let's go ahead and select the background, and then I'm going to start a new shape with a different color. And I'm just going to start somewhere where it can't be seen. And I need to get rid of this handle. So I'll click there, changing directions. I'll adjust the opacity down so I can see through. So that one I didn't need, that was too close. So I'm going to undo that step. So I can go about over here pretty far before I need my next point. And click here. Then click here and drag out a handle. And now I'm changing directions, so I'm going to alt click to get rid of that handle. Click here. And then again, this is going to be hidden by the other shapes, so it doesn't need to be exact. Close the shape. Alright, so now I have my shape, and I need to position it between the dark blue and the light blue. So let's go ahead and reveal the shapes. And what I need to make sure is that the orange covers the white, so there's no gap in between. Let's reveal the yellow. So there's a little bit of gap there. So I need to increase, actually I could probably, let's go ahead and ramp that up. So I probably need to just adjust the blue to be hidden underneath this orange. Select the blue, use the direct select tool, just tuck that underneath there. Oh, this is on top. So can't do that. I need the orange to be on top. So let's adjust the orange to be over that, to make sure there's no gaps anywhere. The blue is on top. I think I've closed all the gaps. So let's see what we have going on so far. Alright, pretty good. So now I need to create the wing area. So this is going to be a large shape. So I'm going to be doing the light blue. Go ahead and select the background and the pen tool here. And let's start in somewhere where it's hidden under this wing. So I'm going to go up and around this way. So I'll just click, drag out some handles here just for fun of it. Click again over here. And click here. Then this is going to be over the head. So I'm going to be creating kind of a curve. Defines the shoulder. Then just following along. So far there haven't been any drastic direction changes. So I'm just kind of following along in the direction that I would draw this. And then over here I'll drag out a handle. And then this one, the direction is changing rather drastically. So I need to alt click to get rid of that handle. Then there's an apex of another curve about right here. Click and drag out some handles. And then I can go about right here into the next one. Go about here and then close my shape. I'm going to zoom out and then reduce the opacity so I can see through. And I have a little bit of wiggliness over here, so let me go ahead and use the direct select tool, select that point, and try to even this out a little bit better. that's looking pretty good. Alright, I think we got a nice shape going on there. So this one needs to be on top of pretty much every layer that we've made so far. So I'm going to drag this to the top. And now we're going to focus on this wing that's going to cover that up. Let's go ahead and increase the opacity, and then I'll hide these layers. And then select the background to start a new shape. This one's going to be on top, so I really need to pay attention to the shape of this one. So let's go ahead and choose our fill color first. It's going to be do this darker blue. And we're going to zoom in a little bit. And let's go ahead and pick a spot where there's not a direction change. So let's say about right here. Be drawing this way. Need to get rid of this handle here, so I'll click that. Then this pretty straight line here, but I'll go ahead and drag a handle out. And then at the apex of this curve, then another one, let's go ahead and just do it at the tip here. And then I have a direction change, and I can't see, so I need to reduce my opacity. You can see that curve there that I need to match. And to get rid of this angle here, or the handle, so Alt click the center. I'm going to place another thing with handles here, and then click to finish the shape. Alright, now I can go in and adjust anything I need to adjust here. Looking pretty good. Alright, so this is going to be on top, so I'll go ahead and drag this all the way up and then reveal the other layers. And then make sure the opacity for this one's all the way up again. And I can see I have a gap here, so let's go ahead and see what's happening. So shape number 5, this one here, needs to be pulled a little bit underneath the wing shapes. So I still have the direct select tool. Just going to adjust these underneath. Alright, let me zoom out real quick. And then I'll just select the background layer so I can see. So I have one more major shape here. Looks like it might already be there. For where that orange is coming from. Oh, it's from the background. Okay, so I do have one more shape to make. That's the belly here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll leave those layers on. Use the pen tool here and select color that I want. And I'm going to click somewhere in here because it's hidden by the wing. And I'm going to choose to go, let's go around this way. So I'm going to click, just drag some handles out for fun. I'm going to click here. This is all hidden by these other shapes. So I'm going to click right here and drag out a handle to start this curve around here. I'm going to click again right here. And then click again here. Click here. And then all the rest of this is hidden. So we just close the shape. Alright, now let's go ahead and make sure this is above the yellow shape. It's going to be underneath the rest of the shapes. Now I'm just going to reduce the opacity so I can see through it. Use the direct select tool. See if I can't adjust this in. Alright, that looks pretty good. Right, going to turn the opacity back up. Turn the yellow layer back on, and then hide the background. See what I've got here. Oops. Alright, so far so good. Everything's look except for the foot here. There's a little gap there. So let me go ahead and find that. And we're going to zoom in. Just make sure that these points are hidden underneath the body. Okay, so this is on top. Let's put this underneath that shape so it gets cut off. A nice curve there. Alright, go ahead and zoom out again. Alright, that looks really nice. So I'm going to now finish by creating the eyeball. So reveal the background, and I'm going to need to hide a bunch of these layers. So this is basically two circles. So you need to grab the circle tool or the ellipse tool, and one of the bottom layer is going to be white. Change the fill color. Up and to the left is white. Click OK. And then I'm going to start my circle here. Hold the shift key down, make sure it's a perfect circle. And spacebar will allow you to reposition it. That looks close enough. Alright, now I need to make another shape right inside there, so I'm going to select the background, change the fill color to black, and then let me reduce the opacity of this white layer. Select the background again, and then I'm going to create this black circle. So the black layer should be on top of the white layer. Then increase the opacity of the white layer back up again. There's my eyeball. Let me zoom out. And then I'm going to show all the layers. So these two layers need to be on top. So hold the shift key down to select both of them. Then move these up to the top. Going to hide the background layer. So now I have my recreation of the original. So let me go ahead and solo out the other layer. So let me alt click. That's the original. This is my recreation. It's a little bit off in some ways, but very similar. One thing I was going to try to do is try to get this gradient color. So it looks like the head and the wing have what's called a gradient, so it goes from a light blue to a dark blue. So let me find the wing here. Looks like, let me hide the background. Okay, there's the wing. So I want to focus on the wing. Let's go ahead and hide everything else. And then turn on the original. Alright, so there we go. So what I want to do is create a gradient fill. So I'm going to go back to the shape tool. Actually, let's go in here, select the shape, and we have the fill options. And instead of a solid, I want to do a gradient fill. So first thing I want to do is set my foreground and background colors. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the foreground. I'm going to choose a lighter blue, which is this one here. Okay. Then for the other layer, I'm going to choose, or for the other color, for the background, I'm going to choose a darker blue. So I'm going to choose this blue here. Click OK. So my foreground and my background colors are what's going to create a gradient effect. So now I'm going to click on the fill color for the shape, choose gradient, and choose the foreground to background option. Then I'm going to drag, let's see if I can drag my own gradient. Nope. So that applied a gradient. Let me see if I can change the angle. Yep. So here we have the different styles of gradient: linear, radial, angle, deflected, and diamond. It's hard to see on this weird shape what those are, what the difference is. So I'm going to change the angle to go from the top of the wing to the bottom, kind of like that. Scale is going to zoom in so you can't really see. So you want to see the difference there, so about 45 or maybe 50%. Just play around with the settings until you get something you like. That looks good. Then the head, I could do the same thing for. That's this shape here. Let's apply a gradient fill. And it's already on what we wanted it to be, foreground to background. Let's change the angle to something a little bit different. Not really noticeable. not on. There we go. Need to be able to see it. So now I can change the angle. Let's do kind of the reverse. Yeah, like it's dark down there. It gets lighter towards the front. I like that. Alright, so I'll select and re-enable all the different layers here. One more layer. So there's the finished product. So I'll again just make sure that that's on, and then here's the original. And there's what I have made. Original and the recreation. So in the same style, there's a few things I could adjust if I wanted it to be more exact. But those are all the different methods that you would use to recreate this particular graphic. So I hope you had fun and you learned a lot. That's it for this one.